Good morning and welcome to Connect Youth. I'm Steph Seidel. I'm here with Dylan and James. Hey, guys.
Hi.
What's going on?
What's going on? You know what? It is the second week of the new year, so I think you should tell us a little bit about yourself and what your New Year's resolution is.
Well, I guess I'll start. A little bit about myself. Born and raised in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Been here about 5 years. I work at Some Other Solutions as a youth mentor. Do a lot of after-school programming around sports. I coach football in town. I gotta be honest. I'm a little bit anti New Year's resolution.
Oh, okay.
I think it's good to have goals, but I find that when people make a set goal with a certain timeline, there's very little follow through. I think people have to figure out what they want and then decide at what time in their life they think it's best to achieve that goal. There's way too much pressure on January 1st to make all these new things happen, and it kind of dies off as the year goes on because maybe people weren't ready exactly at that time, or it was something that they wanted but they didn't really have the drive. I think when you want things, you make it happen, and if January 1st wasn't the time to make that happen, then it wasn't the time. So in saying that, my New Year's resolution is to be more organized.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, that's a
I
good
like
one.
it. I've been doing a 10-day organization challenge. The first day was to walk around your house with a bag and throw out your empty shampoo bottles that you left in your shower and
Oh.
to gather up those receipts that kind of were scattered around your dresser. And it was pretty helpful. That was day one, and I'll send you the rest so you can do the other 9 days if you so feel inclined. How about you, James? Tell me about yourself.
I work with Dylan in the child and youth team at Some Other Solutions too. And I'm from small town, Sussex, New Brunswick.
Okay.
East Coaster. Lots of us out here.
Hey.
I've been working with kids probably in 5 years now. I worked overseas as an English teacher, and then I came to Fort Mac,
cool.
and now I'm at SOS.
And where were you overseas?
I was in Japan.
Ooh, fun.
Sometimes he still speaks Japanese by accident. If it's early, he
I don't
hasn't
know.
had his coffee yet, he forgets English.
That's
Uh-oh.
not true. My Japanese needs a lot of work.
Is that one of your New Year's resolutions?
Actually,
Hey,
yes.
Let's make it one.
Oh.
I'm
Right
kinda-
here, on air.
I'm kind of in the same boat with Dylan about New Year's resolutions, but it is one of my goals. Is I really need to buckle down and study, because the longer you're like back speaking English every day, it's like a new word's gone. I'm like, oh, what's that word? I've said it 100 times or 1,000 times. I forget it.
Wow.
It's weird.
That is crazy. It is nuts how your mind needs to be exercised to keep things in it. Now, we're talking about youth, and you guys work with youth. Do you hear any of their goals that they're looking forward to this year?
Yeah, I did a lot of that this past week. I guess going back to what I said earlier, I try to frame it as, what do you want for the rest of this year, and then what do you want to be different about next year? So if they have goals, great. I'm not going to deter them from having New Year's resolutions, but I really just want to, we're in the second part of the year here, so what do you want to focus on to finish off the year with? And then what maybe about this year you didn't love that you're going to try to go into next year differently. So we did a lot of work around that. And yeah.
Yeah, I've kind of been bringing that up with the kids too, and you really got to push them, because especially when you're younger kids, like Dylan usually works with a bit older than me, and I get a lot of answers like, my goal for the year is to get a Nintendo Switch, or so you got to dig a little deeper. But once you like break it down, and this is just like the nature of the kids we see, I've had a lot of kids say, oh, I wish I had more friends, or I wish I had a really good friend, or I wish I could do better at school, get in less trouble. Like if you really push them, like they'll have like solid resolutions. And like I tell them too, like this doesn't have to be a New Year thing. Like life is constantly about setting goals and chasing them, and so it's just all year through.
Yeah, you can start something on a random Tuesday as long as you start it.
Yeah, and you can
Exactly.
fail. Like that's the thing. Like New Year's resolutions, I think that's one of the problems with it is you do the resolution. Let's say it's go to the gym every day, and then you fail. And like, oh, I failed my New Year's resolution, so I have to wait till next year. But,
Yeah.
you don't have to. You can just start again where you're at.
Yeah, and one of the things too, I mean, about the gym anyway, if you wait until about January 18th, everybody else has failed, and then it's not quite so busy.
Right.
So then you can be the person that kept up with their goal starting 3 weeks in January or 3 weeks in February type thing instead.
That's my excuse for not going to the gym right now. It's too busy.
There we go.
While we're on the topic,
Yeah.
part of I work in the high schools, pretty much all the high schools around town, and a big thing that I'm seeing, which isn't anything new, but it's around weight loss and kind of, shed 3 pounds a week for this. And I think not just from the students, but also from the teachers, this can be a really unhealthy sort of projection of body image. And New Year's resolutions are really bad for this. I think we can all agree that this is always hot topic on whatever magazine or blog you're reading, but the work we try to do, I guess, is a lot based around self-love and never to deter someone from being healthier, or maybe they want to go to the gym just to feel a little better, be more active, like that's fine. But when we start equating health and weight loss, and in some cases extreme weight loss, which is often what I'm getting, especially from that grade 8 to 12 range. We really have to have talks about that, but also watch as adults how we're talking about these issues and what the kids are hearing. I don't know how many 30-day weight loss challenges I hear the teachers going on about, and then you have these, young girls who are listening to all this and equating their own happiness with weight loss, and that's only going to grow as they get older. And there's a lot of eating disorder. That's a whole other topic that we're not here for, but I think you got what I was saying.
Yeah, I think it's so important. One of the things when I was youth pastoring that I used to say to my youth was, be nice to yourself. Like, we can be so mean, like, oh man, you look awful, about ourselves, and we need to lose weight, and you need to, don't wear that anymore, it looks awful, to yourself, when you look in the mirror. But why don't you be a little nicer to yourself, and it'll make your days go so much better, the way you are perceived by other people, because you're able to reflect more light and lightness about yourself if you're actually being kind to who you are as well.
That's like, one of the key issues we deal with in schools, right? And that's, for me, like, I just find, like, I'm usually not pretty emotionless. Sometimes I can be a little cold, but like that breaks my heart when you have this kid that's so amazing, and like they can have great conversations with you. They're cool, they're fun to be with, but they see themselves not like that at all. Like, to them, they're just the worst. It's like, I just wish you could see like what I see. Yeah. So self-image it's huge.
It is huge, for sure.
From the cold-hearted mentor at SOS.
Oh, yeah. Cut that from air.
I did also see something the other day. A dad was talking to their kid, and they had some chocolate on their face, and they said, "What's on your face?" And the kid was like, "Confidence." And I was like, "That's awesome!" That's a kid that's being raised with confidence and saying, like, "Yeah, you're awesome. Believe it." We're gonna come back. We're here with James and Dylan from SOS, so stick around on Connect.
Bye, guys. See you soon.
And we're back with Youth Connect. I'm Steph Seidel. I'm here with Dylan and James. Hey, guys.
Hey, we're still here.
Hello, we're still here. Thanks for joining me today. We've been talking a little bit about New Year's resolutions, but now we're going to shift gears and talk about what goes on in the schools. So you are both mentors in the schools in Fort McMurray.
Correct.
How do you get to be a mentor in the school to somebody? How do they get connected with you?
They'll get connected to us through the school. So we go on a referral basis. So the school refers students to SOS. SOS will then find a mentor to be in that school. So usually the main point of contact will be like a counselor or sometimes a teacher, and that's how the students will get hooked up with us.
And what do you guys get up to as a mentor with your students?
Well, what do we get up to? I guess mentoring can look like anything, really. We have a little more freedom than maybe the traditional counselor. but it's really based on that individual. There's no one answer I can give you that will accurately describe it. It could be shooting hoops in the gym. It could be doing some kind of craft. It could be walking around outside. It could be...
Yeah. So, like, I guess the main point would be is we're there to build a relationship, be like an adult peer to the kids. Because, you know, there's so many, like, we're not counselors, right? We're not, like, going to go the medical route, but we just know that, like, the science and the studies prove that a kid having a positive adult relationship is beneficial. So, yeah, so each kid building a relationship looks different. Like, Dylan and I take kids to the gym, we shoot hoops. Sometimes we just talk, sometimes we play games, sometimes we work on, like, something to do with maybe they're stressed and how to deal with stress. So it looks different with every kid and every
Sometimes
student.
it's helping a kid get a driver's license.
Sometimes it's helping a kid learn how to tie his shoes. So really
That's cool.
big gap.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what you see with the students. What are they dealing with?
That's a big question
So
for James.
I guess, like, just looking at our referrals, like, give, like, the statistics maybe, that our top, we're just looking at this the other day, our top referred problem with the kids is trouble making friends. That's our number one referral.
Wow.
And the second is self-regulation. So, which means, like, you know, the kids maybe in class, they can't keep their hands to themselves. They're always jittery, or they're having inappropriate, like they're maybe fighting at recess, or so it's just give them skills to deal with that. You know, once again, like, I don't want to speak for Dylan because he works with older kids, so I'm sure he sees a lot of different problems than me.
Yeah, but like James said, the stats, like social isolation is a huge one, and that can stem from a variety of different things, whether that's what's going on at home or it's really just how these kids are interacting with the school and their peers in the school. And yeah, I guess us being there can help them kind of bridge that gap. Oh, there's your plug. The bridge that gap.
Not even one.
Yeah, but those problems with the older kids, like I work with some of like grade 10 and up, those problems turn into other problems. And I mean, whatever problem you end up seeing, whether it's, you know, some sort of addiction or some sort of abuse at home, it usually funnels back into some sort of isolation or longing for some sort of group or belonging. That's a lot of what we see as people searching for something to belong to.
Mm-hmm. And how, as mentors, do you help them find that?
Well, our number one, I guess, mandate is kind of building resiliency within the kid. So, yeah, it's great to go, you know, take a kid out of class and give him attention and he loves you, and that feels awesome, and it is awesome, but it's not sustaining. So building that relationship is the first step. You know, the kid is looking for something. So you give him that. You give him the attention. And then once you build that trust and relationship, then like James said before, when he looks at that kid and that child's not seeing what James sees, he said, he's an awesome kid. I wish he could see that himself. Mm-hmm. So that's the goal, right? To make that kid see how awesome, how creative, how athletic, how beautiful they really are. And then that's sustaining because they can take that with them. Once you have that, no one can take that away from you. So I guess our goal is to get them to that place. Yeah, I guess our goal is to get them to that place.
I mean, it's complicated, but in a way, it's kind of simple too. Is that, you know, a lot of these kids, no one's ever told them they're good at something. All they've ever heard is that they can't do it. So, like, just by us being, like, a positive influence in their life, like, I think it makes a huge difference with their self-image. And, you know, we talk a lot about mindfulness these days. Like, it's kind of like a key word, but it's true. Like, you know, an average grade 5 or 6 kid, they're not going to sit down and, like, really think about who they are or really see the real them. So it's kind of like we're not there to, like, fix them. We're just, like, shining a mirror so they can see, like, their own skills. that they probably already have, just aren't using.
And if you want some concrete examples, we do offer different programming. So we have the Heart of the Matter program where we get individuals who are going through some kind of separation or divorce together, and we do like a group for 8 to 10 weeks. So things like that, or after school sport play. We take a lot of kids who might not be on any teams, might not have any extracurriculars, and allow them 1 hour in the gym after school to do like leadership building. And it's not really based around a specific sport. So anyone can, any body type, any athletic ability, like it's very inclusive. I've gotten kids playing football. Sometimes just giving them the confidence to join a group or just be part of something, and then that will open the door for them going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, one of the topics we had discussed off air was talking a little bit about anxiety or depression. Do you see that a lot with the students you work with?
Yeah, so like I said, we aren't counselors, so
Yeah.
it's we can't make those, like if you're talking about like depression and anxiety as like the mental illness, like we're not the ones who make those diagnoses. And of course we get kids that, they've been seen and maybe have it, but that's not really our focus. So I guess the question was like, are you talking more about the illness or about like the feeling?
The feeling, I think.
Yeah, so anxiety is a really common thing with, like, I say a good number of the kids I see. And I think it's normal for everyone to experience anxiety at some point in their life, or so it's more about giving kids the skills to cope with it, right? We're not still going to get rid of it, but give them ways to cope with it.
Yeah, for sure. And what are some of your ways to cope with it?
Hold on. I just want to give a quick social media is the devil plug.
Okay. I'm ready.
You think?
No, it's not really. But there is, like, all the science shows that depression and anxiety increase with time spent on social media. So I'm not going to condemn it, but I will say that I think as parents or as teachers or as any kind of influencer, be slightly mindful of your behavior on social media and also what maybe your kids are, because it can be toxic. It's a tool like anything, it can be helpful, like it can be bad. And what we're seeing is a lot of unfiltered usage, and the addiction's been, like, this is a generation that grew up with this technology that we never had. So there's a lot of maybe unknowns that we'll find out in, the next couple of years. But the things we do know is it's increasing depression, it's increasing anxiety, and it's increasing suicide. So let's be careful with those type of things.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really scary. I mean, I think we'll come out with so many studies and so many things that have happened, but even just as an example of wildlife, my mom has an orchid and it won't bloom because it doesn't like the Wi-Fi. But it's crazy, right? Yeah. But my grandma, who's old and doesn't have Wi-Fi, her orchid is beautiful. And even just things that we don't even see in the air are affecting what's happening. So I'm sure it's affecting what's going on in our brains as well. And perhaps that's a metaphor for, it's not blooming because it has Wi-Fi. Maybe we're not blooming as well as we could if we weren't spending so much time on social media and
that's good.
Looking for likes.
Keep that one. Can I quote you there?
You can have that.
Social media.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe some coping strategies. Like, there's one, excessive time spent on, any kind of device. I'm not just going to say your phone, but video games, television, computer, like whatever you want to call it.
Football.
Hey, easy.
Oh, that's physical activity though, right?
He's kidding. That was a shot. So yeah, and again, you're not always just going to be able to, like, you might know something as an adult that's not as easy as just telling a kid, hey, don't spend so much time on the phone. You know, that can only, you really have to make someone understand where you're coming from and maybe let them see how they're feeling. We do very little self-monitoring.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're going to spend this much time on playing the video game tonight. How do you feel this morning? Okay, let's try. Okay, stay up all night like you usually do. How do you feel this morning? And let them notice the differences in their own body, because we're a little out of tune, but those skills are there inside of you. And if you let them make those decisions, you can get places a lot easier. And this goes all the way to what you're eating, how much you're sleeping, you know, the content of what you're watching, everything. And I think this all plays a factor in what's going on with the kids. But letting them come to those conclusions is, in my experience, the best method in changing behavior.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's not like just a behavior, it's used as a coping mechanism too. So like the issue might be something different underlying, and the excess of social media just makes it easier to deal with. Like, for example, you know, you have a kid whose parents are divorcing. Like, that's one of the main causes of anxiety in life at that point. Or maybe they just have an unstable home. Maybe they have trouble at school because they have a learning disorder, or they don't have friends. So there's some things about, like, approaching kids with anxiety. It's, we can work on behavior. Like, maybe we see behavior that's causing anxiety, we can work on it. But sometimes it's not possible. We can't go into kids' homes, and we can't fix their family problems for them. So we give them coping mechanisms. So, like, I was skeptic of this when I first came into this job, and I've been using it with my kids lately. Is simple things like breathing techniques or meditation. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen this app called Headspace. Like, you can do like a 3-minute meditation thing where you just close your eyes and relax. And I've used it with kids that are, and I'm not talking like meditation, like some people think of like a spiritual, like a religious thing, but I just mean like breathing mostly. And I've tried it with kids that are known for not being able to sit 1 minute in class without making noise or getting in trouble. And just recently I had a kid that did 6 whole minutes of deep breathing, complete quietness, and what I stopped it, he wanted to continue.
Wow.
So I was sold.
Okay, and so that app is called Headspace?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not getting paid for that.
No, but it's good.
Buy
It's definitely
Headspace
good
today.
to let people know.
We need an app to get off our phones.
Yeah. Crazy. I have one of those, actually. We're going to come back in just a few with more of Connect Youth.
Bye, everyone.
Welcome back to Connect Youth. I'm here with Dylan and James from SOS. Guys, thanks again for joining me. We've been, I feel like, covering some really important topics and issues that are important to youth these days. How do you get to interact with the youth? Like, how does a youth, if they're listening right now and they say, I want to hang out with Dylan and James, how do they get to do that?
Talk to your school counselor.
Okay.
So every referral that we get goes first through the school counselor, and they send it to us. So usually it's sometimes parents recommend us, and then they go to the counselor, or teachers go to the counselor. But yeah, everything goes to the counselor, then to us. Okay. So if you are out there and you really want a mentor, talk to your counselor. Counselors are awesome. They're not scary. They're there to help you. Mm-hmm. So they'll listen. And I think probably everyone in town, every counselor in town knows who we are. So
yeah, every school should know who we are.
Just say SOS or some other solutions.
And if somebody, Dylan had mentioned that the suicide rates are going up, depression, anxiety is going up because of social media or because of any other reason in your life, and you are saying, that's me. Mm-hmm. Can we get some help, a helpline? What do you guys got?
Yeah, so we have a 24/7 hour crisis line. And it's not like suicide is something we're there for, but we're there for anything. So if you're going through any sort of crisis in your life, stress, anxiety, depression, anything you want help with, call us. We're there to listen. It's confidential. We're not going to judge. And we have so many resources we can offer in town. Like, people don't realize how much help there is. If you're going through something, it doesn't have to be alone. So call our crisis line if you need it, 780-743-HELP.
Perfect.
Don't suffer in silence.
Amen. Now, Dylan and James, clearly you're both passionate about helping youth. Can you just give us a little snippet why?
That's a deep one. Do we have another 45 minutes? Yeah, I guess for me, I'm gonna say my mom.
Your mom?
Yeah, she was just always helping people. That was kind of my DNA from when I was young, and it feels good. And then as you kind of build those skills, I think everyone has those skills, but maybe they don't show them. But I know everyone feels good helping someone, no matter who you are, whether you admit that or not. It feels good to help someone. So to be privileged enough to be able to do this as a profession, I mean, I wake up happy every day. So yeah, I really love my job and I love what I do.
Awesome.
Yeah, for me, it's like, growing up, I dealt with anxiety myself. I've been through that, and in my childhood, I suffered from not talking about it or not telling anyone. I felt like I had to keep it in. So I just want to be there for kids and know, like, these are things in life that you're not alone with and there's help. So I'm just there.
Oh, well, we're thankful for both of you and thankful that there are so many helping agencies in Fort McMurray that want to help the youth and show them that adults care and love them and are ready to step up and hang with them as well. So thanks, guys, for what you do and for being willing to come and chat about what you do and for showing up every single day.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
You're very welcome. This has been Connect Youth.